Well, good morning. All right, if you'd please join us in our statement of faith together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent.
If anyone's present for the first time, we welcome you and we hope you'll want to come back to another service. Our ambassadress, Stella, wave your arm, Stella. She has an informational packet and a coffee mug to share with you. So if you will stop and ask her any questions you have about the activities here, what Unity believes, please do stop and speak with Stella. She'll answer your questions. Please check in on Facebook. Let everybody know you're here. And then if you would silence your phone, you'll be really glad you did. When it rings during meditation, you're embarrassed. These beautiful flowers today, and aren't they pretty? Beautiful white. They're provided by Lisa Landorgan in celebration of her and Amy's 20th anniversary. And not only that, they're wonderful ladies and they're wonderful volunteers. Thank you, girls. Please join me in the mission statement. The words are up on the screen. Our mission is to encourage and inspire spiritual and personal growth by empowering each other to be authentically all that we came here to be. And let's speak today's affirmation for the daily word. I bless every situation by knowing that all things are working together for good. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. That is what Joseph said to his brothers who had sold him into bondage in Egypt. God means it for good. This is what we can say to ourselves about every situation, every experience. In the midst of injustice, in the midst of what seems to be evil, the goodness of God persists and prevails. God works through its creation, through human minds and hearts and hands to bring forth that which is right, just, and loving. And it takes only one person to act as such a channel. God can work through you. Refuse to be discouraged by appearances. Refuse to give way to doubt and fear. Hold resolutely and steadfastly to your faith in God, to your faith in God's Spirit in you and in all other persons. Know with steady conviction that God means it for good, that in and through all things runs a pattern of perfection. In this way, you become the means through which God works to bless. The scriptures, Romans 8:28, if you'll join me. All things work together for good to those who love God and who are called according to God's purpose. And let's repeat the affirmation. I bless every situation by knowing that all things are working together for good. As Sue rings the prayer bowl, please hold the following people in prayer for their highest good. Jim, G, Steve, Carolyn, Darren, Peggy, Ron, Bob, Michael, Macy, Della, Charlie, Shannon, Sharon, Brett, Stephanie, Bianca, and anyone else you choose to include in prayer. We pray for the people of Bakersfield, which is Richard Sigler's hometown, and all who have been impacted by our recent storms. Let's sing our thoughts, our prayers.
thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peaceful love, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
We embrace the sounds and vibrations coming from our prayer bowl as they penetrate our bodies, our minds, and souls, and remind us of the Christ's presence within each and every one of us. Take a deep breath. Visualize your connection with Spirit. Send and receive hope, peace, love to all the people around you, and reaching out to every person on this earth. Ignoring sounds and movement around you, we begin to relax our minds and bodies, centering for prayer and meditation. Beginning at the crown of your head, release tension in your mind and body. Relax. Follow your focus to your forehead, eyes, ears, lips, tongue, and jaw. Breathe in and exhale. Follow your attention to your neck and shoulders, down through your arms, wrists, and fingers, intentionally relaxing as you go. Move down through your spine and lower back, your thighs, calves, ankles, and toes. Remind yourself to relax and let go. Breathe in and exhale. We affirm the highest and best for the names on the prayer list, for healing, prosperity, guidance, safety, and peace of mind. We extend these prayers for ourselves, our families, and friends, and out to every person. We share our love, strength, and support with all who have recently been affected by spring storms. We surround the world and our country, our personal friends and family, with love and light. We embrace support for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We support peace and harmony in the Middle East, Ukraine, Africa, Asia, and South America. We visualize food, health care, and shelter for those in need here and around the world. We visualize basic needs met, inner peace, and happiness for all. We forgive those we believe have erred against us, and we forgive ourselves for any regrets that we may be hanging on to. We clear any blocks to our well-being, minds, or our flow of love and prosperity. First for ourselves, then to our families, and anyone or thing that we may hold in judgment or resentment. We are assured by the words of Jesus that we are loved. We are whole, perfect, and complete, just as we are. We are whole, perfect, and complete, just as we are. We choose to love ourselves and know that we are worthy of all good. We choose to bless others with our love and our light as we spread gratitude for life, health, abundance, loving relationships, harmony, and inner peace. We choose to contribute from a loving heart to a consciousness of global oneness. Our affirmation today is, I bless every situation by knowing that all things are working together for good. We know that in the midst of injustice, in the midst of what seems to be evil, the goodness of God persists and prevails. We choose not to be discouraged by appearances, and we refuse to let doubt and fear enter our consciousness. We remain present in our faith in God, to our faith in God's Spirit in us and in all other persons, in the silence.
Yep, how about now? Helps to turn it on green. Good morning. Oh my gosh, it's so great to look out and see everybody here this morning. Lots of faces that I recognize and many faces that I don't. So if you're here for the first time, we're just delighted that you chose to join us this morning. And we hope you'll come back and check us out again. But welcome to everybody. Yay. Great job. Thank you so much, John and our band. Thank you for just riffing there on the greeting part. You guys are just so awesome. We truly appreciate you. So for the number of weeks before this, we had focused on the 5 basic principles of unity. As I'm moving towards retirement, I want to bring things that have really had an impact in my life. And the 5 basic principles of unity have changed my life for the better in so many ways. And so, and the book that I've used on that was by Reverend Ellen Debenport. And it's the 5 basic principles. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about this book called The Eye of the Storm by Dr. Reverend Gary Simmons, who is a Unity minister. So I want to start with what was in the foreword of this book. So Dr. Carol Woman wrote this. She said, imagine for a moment of time before your birth, when you were wandering the heavens as a disincarnate soul. You were immersed in the beauty and peaceful harmony of paradise when a call went out for volunteers to incarnate in a bodily human form. A small blue planet in the far reaches of the Milky Way galaxy was experiencing a crisis and was in need of souls who would be willing to incarnate in a human body to help out in Earth's time of need. You made the decision to volunteer. Guess what? We all made the decision to volunteer because here we are, right? Yep, we're here. You are here, right? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. You next met with the Incarnation Committee to discuss with its members the part you wanted to play and the work you wanted to do. You made a covenant at that time to do the work you agreed to do, but there was a catch. Not only were you required to serve, here it comes, but you were also required to grow. Growing is always a lot of fun, isn't it? Yes, I say that tongue in cheek. Okay. It was your job to increase the intensity of your light and to grow in wisdom and in stature as well as to serve. It goes on to say that we chose our gifts, talents, and abilities, where we live, our parents, our families, our socioeconomic class, our gender, our orientation, and more. Then we were born, and we promptly forgot all of it with the idea that we would wake up and remember. We had spiritual amnesia for a period of time. And it goes on to say, we are always being asked to remember our divine nature and our spiritual commitment, as simultaneously we are asked to face the challenges that life presents us. Life often screams at us, do it this way, but the path of the spiritual warrior is to calmly and peacefully, looking into the mouth of the dragon, remember who we really are, divine emissaries, and to think and feel and act accordingly. How we doing with that? How we doing with looking into the mouth of the dragon from a place of centeredness? Big call for us, isn't it? Yes? Gary Simmons reminds us, no one and nothing is against you. And he says this is the absolute truth. You may not believe it now. You may have a lifetime of evidence to the contrary. But until you realize that the entire universe is for you, you may never experience your wholeness and your true worth. So Gary shares a story. Gary is an instructor of martial arts. And he said that this student was testing for his first degree black belt. And as the instructor, he would always ask those who were becoming a black belt to write a paragraph explaining what their black belt represented. And his student wrote this: before I was a black belt, when I got into a fight, I had to fight because I was afraid. Now that I am a black belt, I can walk away. And Gary says this was a profound realization in recognizing the distinction between being in a threatening situation when afraid and having to fight, but then being in the same threatening situation and instead being connected to inner feelings of confidence and well-being, being able to walk away because of the strength and confidence that came from within. You know, events happen in our lives, right? I mean, my goodness, I think about all the people that in the, the way of the storms, and we're seeing the devastation that, comes from that. And what he says is that we either through a sense of wholeness or a sense of separation choose our experience of the events in our lives. And here's what I want to say, my friends, we have been training for this. Did you know you've been training for this? Turn to somebody and say, I've been training for this. And then turn to somebody and say, you've been training for this. We are equipped. We are equipped, my friends. Our light is being called forth now. This is not a time for us to wallow in hopelessness and despair. It's okay to feel the feelings. We always talk about that, but this is not a time for us to wallow in this. We came for this time. We came for whatever time is happening while we're alive on this planet. We came for this, and we came to be divine emissaries of light and divine emissaries of love. So the title of today's talk is No One and Nothing is Against Me. And that's kind of hard to wrap our minds around, isn't it? Because we do feel like things are against us. And in the very physical realm, sometimes people literally do things to harm other people. So it has to feel that way sometimes. But in Romans 8:31, it says, if God is for us, who can be against us? And how do I know that no one and nothing is truly against me? Because in Romans 8:28, it says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Now, for me, what this is saying, where it says in all things God works for those who love him, the good of those who love him, we're not talking about an anthropomorphic being that is outside of us. What this is about, my friends, it's about us presencing love. It's about us presencing God. And when it goes on to say all who have been called according to his purpose, what's the purpose? Presencing God, right? Presencing love. I really sincerely believe that we came here to be that presence. How could we not be? Because that is who and what we are, right? That's our spiritual essence. Do we agree that our spiritual essence, our spiritual DNA, is that which we call God? Yes. And that which we call God is love? Yes. So we are here to presence that in our daily lives. That is what we are here to do, being the light. And I love the lyrics to the song that you sang. It says, oh, if this little light of mine combined with yours today, how many watts could we illuminate? How many villages could we save? When we bring our love and our light and our energy together in that way, it changes everything about us. And to me, this song reminds us that our light has the capability to literally help lift others up, to literally help others remember who they are. And that's a big call for us, isn't it? Because sometimes when somebody is showing up in a way that is so opposite of that, it's really hard for us to stand in that knowingness, in that place of remembering who they are so they can remember who they are, right? Yeah. So just, this is all about just presencing who and what we already are. But again, we have been training for times like these. All of the time that we've spent in meditation and prayer, all of the books that we have read, all of the spiritual movies that we've watched, all of our journaling, all of the podcasts that we've listened to, all of the music that touches our soul, all of the inner work that we have been doing, we have been training for this time. And now's the time for us to remember that and to remember who we are and to move back into that place and to come from that place instead of the place of divisiveness and fear and anger and all of these things that are happening right now, not just in our country, but on our planet. We have the ability to be able to find that center of peace within ourselves. We are predispositioned for that. That's who we are. We have simply forgotten. So Reverend Gary talks about hurricanes. And he relates them to the storms of conflict that show up in our lives. And at the circumference of the hurricane, what is happening? There's crazy winds, right? And these hurricanes, the circumference of the hurricanes, have the ability to literally wipe out communities, to create devastation. But he says that in the eye of the hurricane, in the center, there's complete calm. There's peace in that. So what he says is that the storms of conflict that show up in our lives, they also possess this center. At the circumference of the storms of conflict, see if you relate to this, are the winds of confusion, blame, and the need to be right. And they blow with devastating ferocity. But he says at the center of the storms of conflict in our lives, there is peace, calm, clarity, and stillness. The way that I choose to relate to my experience is what my experience becomes. The way I'm choosing to relate to what is happening today is what my experience of it becomes, right? The quality of my life experience arises from within me. What we want to get to is to this place that truly, no matter what is happening, it's not against us. No one and nothing is truly against us, that it is all for us. And he says, from the perspective that this is against me, what am I making it mean? And from the perspective of this is for me from principle, what am I making this mean? Two totally different things, right? Right? Yes, we might want to fight for our limitations right now. We might want to fight for the fact that, we're talking about the spiritual aspect to what we experience in our lives. This is not just about what's going on in our country, but what we experience in our lives. And what am I open to then? So, Paul and I went on vacation. And we went on vacation for 2 weeks. It was wonderful. It was so peaceful. We unplugged from everything. And we decided to take 2 days to come home. And so we go to a hotel, and I'm checking us in, and I learned a huge lesson, and that was I took a bunch of stuff with me when I walked in. I had a lot of stuff in my hands, and so I grab my backpack, I get my wallet out, I give the card to the girl, put it back in there, and then we go up to our room. And thank goodness, within about 15 minutes, we decide that we're gonna go out to eat. And all of a sudden, I realize I don't have my backpack. Freak out a little bit, oh my gosh. So we go down, and my backpack is on the counter, and I'm so grateful that my backpack is still there. So I check, and my wallet's in my backpack. So we go out to eat, and as we're sitting there, I reach into a pocket that I usually keep zippered because that's where I kept my cash, and the cash is gone. There was between $300 and $400 of cash in there. And so I felt that I took the hit. And then, it was just I was so grateful that whoever took the cash didn't take my wallet, didn't take my credit cards. I didn't have to deal with any of that. And, one of the first things that, I said to Paul, we're not going to let this ruin this amazing vacation that we've just had. And so I really and truly was able just to let it go, just to be okay, it was my fault for leaving it there. I recognize that I accidentally left that part open. It was just sitting there somebody take me. But what this did is it allowed me to remember that no one and nothing is truly against me. And I get to choose the experience of what this was. And Paul can tell you, I just didn't get freaked out about it. It was just okay, somebody needed this money more than me. It's just money. And my mantra is, my good can never be withheld from me. My good will always come to me. So it's just an example of how we can, I could have gone down the other road, been super upset, made this all about, our vacation all about this, but it's not worth it, right? And this is what is important for us to start looking at in our own lives. What energy am I bringing into anything that is happening in my life? Now, that's a small thing compared to a lot of things. So I just want to encourage us not to fight for our limitations. So Gary says that the belief that someone or something is against you is what Jesus called evil. The enemy. And so your enemy could be your body, like an illness or a physical condition. Your enemy could be a dreaded eventuality, such as death or a divorce or loss of a job. Your enemy could be an unsympathetic coworker or ex-partner. It could be someone you felt that betrayed you in some way. It could be an organization or even the world. It could be the government. It could be prosperity challenges. But whatever you feel is against you is your enemy. And he says this, that you're in relationship to an enemy when your first inclination is to be in control of the situation or to be right or to make the other person or situation wrong, resisting or avoiding. So here's where we're going to make some real movement. Okay, are you ready? If you want a different experience, then it is time to start doing things differently. Okay, take a breath. And to treat your enemy as you would treat a beloved friend if you are to claim your wholeness and your worth. Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it? But here's what I want to tell you is that it's possible. Because I've seen it over and over again. I've heard stories upon stories upon stories where, parents have forgiven somebody who have murdered their child. And they did that for themselves because they could come back to that center. And they made something good out of it. And so I know that it is possible for us. Now, this doesn't mean, and me, that you should put up with abuse or acquiesce to the demands of others. And it doesn't mean that we don't stand up for what we think is right. I love this, John Brucker. You posted this, I don't know if it was last night or today, but I cracked up. It says, there is a misconception that spiritual people are always nice. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is get your throat chakra in alignment by telling people to get their crown chakra out of their root chakra. It's like, there it is. So I want to say here that, and recognize, my friends, anger is an emotion. And thank goodness that there have been people who have been angry enough to create some really good change in the world. So don't think that being angry is a bad thing. It's just that we want to move to a different place where we can be open to what is that inspired action. Because many times when we're acting just out of anger, we are reacting instead of responding, and we want to respond. So this is, simply about a deeper way of relating, because from this deeper place, and not from fear or insecurity or obligation, but we can be a vessel through which God can express. And this is one of my favorite things that he said: I am either the way of God or I am in the way of God. I am either the way of love or I am in the way of love. And take this to anything. I am either the way of joy or I am in the way of joy. I am either the way of healing and wholeness or I am in the way of healing and wholeness. I am either the way of abundance or I am in the way of healing or of abundance. Where does that put the responsibility? It doesn't put it on anything outside of us, the economy, the job, the doctors. It says, what am I the way of? And I think through this time especially, it's important for us to be the way of God and the way of love. And so Gary says to do this, we must follow the instruction that our great teacher, Jesus, shared in Matthew 5:44, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. And what he says is that to love means to accept, to embrace, and to value. Ooh, these are big things that we're being called to do, huh? To bless means to endow something or someone with the capacity to be good in your life. To do good means to do the right thing, and to pray means to give your thought to God. And all these things work together. And so he says to love, this does not mean that we're going to just like what's going on. Like I said, it doesn't mean we don't take a stand. It doesn't mean we ever allow abuse. It's not about that. It means accepting and valuing the person or situation for mirroring in us where we are not connected. And so how I see this, like especially for me during this time, is am I remembering that all things are working together for the greater good in the midst of chaos? Or am I out in the circumference going, everything is falling apart, it's the worst it could possibly be? We've all been there, right? We may even be there now. Does that feel good to be out there? Oh, it doesn't. And again, we are predispositioned to come from a place of calm and peace and centeredness. And again, and what this is for me too, when I'm connected to who I really am, I'm remembering that I have trained for this. I have everything that I need within me to be able to stand in the midst of this storm and to be open to the way of God, to be open to the way of love, to be open to the next step, the next right action. And I can stand, when I'm in that center, I can be more open to, well, what am I for in this situation? What am I for in this situation? And the thing about this is that when I'm open to what am I for in this situation, ideas will present themselves for us to be able to take steps towards what it is that we're for, right? I mean, you may be out there with a protest sign because that's what you're for. It's we want to be more in the place of not so much what I'm against, but what am I for? What am I for? What am I for here? But I do think it's important for us to stand up as Americans, especially right now, and make that voice heard as to what it is that we are for, right? Could we all do a better job of that? Could we all do a better job of that? Absolutely. Okay, to bless, this means to endow something with the capacity to be good in our lives. What? You know, when we're standing here and we're having these things coming against us or things have been happening, how can this possibly be good in our lives? But it's our willingness. And again, you know, I go back to that place that because God is love, that everything that is happening, it's automatically in this realm of love. And love is always that which is expansive. And that's why things are always working together for the greater good. Because love is always working on the behalf of every single one of us, no matter who we are. No matter if we're the good guys and we see others as being the evil guys, it's happening for the people that we may see as being the evil or the bad guys. Because that's love. Love never, ever, 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 ever withholds. When we bless something, we dismantle the belief that anything can come between us and our good. That we dismantle the belief that anything can come between us and our good. To bless, says Pierre, means to wish unconditionally and from the deepest chamber of your heart, unrestricted good for others and events. To bless is to acknowledge the omnipresent universal beauty hidden from material eyes. Again, this is a big call, right? Because sometimes it's really hard for us to want to have unrestricted good for others when we feel like others are against us, right? But that's the spiritual aspect of us. You know, we have the spiritual aspect of us. We have the very human, real, here I am, I'm incarnated in this time. This is what's happening. I may be out here in the circumference of the storm, but I want to come back to center because I know that when I practice these principles, everything will change for me. And as I change, it unconsciously gives other people permission to say, well, there is a different way to be present to this. There is a different way to be present to this. So I endow this situation to bring forth good for everyone. So I'm going to have us say this together. We'll start with this. I endow this entire situation. I endow this entire situation to bring forth good for everyone. To bring forth good for everyone. Now, does that feel good? Yeah. Rather than being in this place of blame and I endow this entire situation to bring forth good for everyone. Whew, that feels good. Okay, to do good. This means doing the right thing instead of needing to be right. It means taking authentic action and being the way of God instead of in the way of God. How can I be the avenue for God's love right now? How can I be that avenue? And you know, it's interesting because, you know, Facebook is one of those places where you can really get caught in the mire of some of the stuff. And so one of the things for me is pass those posts that you don't agree with. Just pass them. You know, you don't have to respond. You don't have to say anything. Just pass them. Bless them. I endow this entire situation to be good for everyone. Just let it go and move on. Just a suggestion. Okay, and so to pray, Gary says, doesn't mean that we're praying, get this out of my life. We want to pray that, right? But he says that it means asking our heart to show us the truth. That's the first thing where prayer should be. This is not about praying for others yet. It's getting us right. I'm opening myself up to spirit. You know, when it says, you know, give your thought to God, I really desire to see this differently than I'm seeing it now. I desire to open up my heart and to know that there's a bigger picture here. He says the purpose of being in the eye of the storm is not to make the storm go away. It's holding the space for the power of love to do its mighty work. Right? Yes. But this does also mean, my friends, praying for those situations or people or entities that you feel are against you. And I would have to ask us, how much time are we spending right now in prayer? Holding that for the leaders of our country. And how much time are we spending in the opposite? Because it's so important that we are praying, and that we're not praying for them to change because, oh, that makes us almighty. It's praying for all of us to just presence love, to be in our center and bring forth love. H. Emily Cady from Lessons in Truth says that the very circumstances in your life that seem torturing, heartbreaking, evils will turn to joy before your eyes if you will steadfastly refuse to see anything but God in them. And isn't that what Charles Fillmore says, our co-founder, about love? Love is a willingness to know that only good is there and to only be willing to see that until you finally do see that good and that love. So I'm going to invite us to share in this if you would like to share with me. God, heal my perception of this event. Don't let my heart shut down. Be so powerful within me that instead of shutting my heart, I am going to see that my job here is to open my heart, knowing that as I open my heart to everybody in every phase of this situation, that light will bring forth miracles, and this is true. And so I want to close with two things. This is from Unity Minister Reverend Ann Tabor, and I shared this on my page, but I love this so much. She says, if I could reach through the screen, I'd look into your eyes and tell you this. If today feels heavy, if the world feels dim, sit still for a moment. Turn out the noise. If you could see what I see, what God sees, you'd never question your light again. Not a flicker, not a candle in the wind, a full force, knock your socks off divine radiance that was never meant to be hidden. There's a saying, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know that we were seeds. You are a God seed, planted with purpose, rising with power. The world needs you, needs your presence, your voice, your wild, glorious commitment to showing up, even when you don't feel ready. So take a baby step forward today. Be in community, be light. Your story, your heart just might be the spark that someone's praying for. What a great reminder, right? And then the last thing I close with is in honor of St. Patrick's Day. May peace and plenty bless your world with a joy that long endures, and may all life's passing seasons bring the best to you and yours. May you have love that never ends, lots of money and lots of friends. Health be yours, whatever you do, and may God send many blessings to you. May the raindrops fall lightly on your brow. May the soft winds freshen your spirit. May the sunshine brighten your heart. And may the burdens of the day rest lightly upon you. And may God enfold you in the mantle of his love. And if you're okay, I'd like to share kind of a funny one, a funny St. Patrick's one. And it's this. When we drink, we get drunk. When we get drunk, we fall asleep. When we fall asleep, we commit no sin. When we commit no sin, we go to heaven. So let's all get drunk and go to heaven. Namaste, namaste. I was hesitant, should I share that one or not, because I don't mean any disrespect to anybody who's in the program, because I know how important that is, but that just cracked me up. Okay, so now is the time in our service when we have the opportunity to support Unity of Springfield financially and all that we are here to do and to be together. There's many ways that you can give through Tithely, Venmo, PayPal, and website. I know that I just have it taken out of my checking account, which is nice because it comes out every week. The church doesn't pay a fee on that, which is really nice. So there are a lot of ways you can give. So let's bless our gift together with our gift blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And thank you, God.
Well, that was fun. That was a good fun. I enjoyed that one. I'm glad we pulled it off. There was some debate in the earlier rehearsal. So, time for the announcements. Planet Unity is our annual Earth Day celebration and our biggest fundraiser. This two-day event is packed full of music, education, illegal cockfights, food, vendors, and so much more. There is a planning meeting today right after the service, and everyone is invited to attend and learn what exciting things are planned for this year's big event. Planet Unity t-shirts are now on sale. You can go to our website and order, or you can sign up in the foyer. If you scan the QR code on the flyer in the foyer, it will take you directly to the order form, or you can fill out the form on your chair and turn it in after the service. There are so many ways to get a t-shirt. Get one. Meditation is tonight at 6 p.m., and it is open to everyone. And this Tuesday, March 18th, please join author and poet Karen Crago for the third and final session of Earth Writing, a workshop devoted to writing love notes to our Mother Earth. Earth Writing aims to offer both instruction and inspiration for poems and for essays about nature and the environment. Some of the work created in Earth Writing will be placed on display at Planet Unity. Sessions are from 6:30 to 8 p.m. and are open to the public and free to attend. You do not have to have attended the previous two sessions to attend this one. And we have the Unity Drum Circle that meets on the first and third Thursdays of each month. The next session is this Thursday, March the 20th at 6:30 p.m. All are welcome to join. Next Sunday, in the New Thought and World Religion class, John Brocker will present part 2 of the 5 Levels of Attachment by Miguel Ruiz Jr. Class begins at 9:15 a.m. And we do have our spring yard cleanup sale on Saturday, March the 29th. That begins at 9 a.m. Please bring your yard tools and your gloves. There's a sign-up sheet on the table in the foyer, and all help is greatly appreciated. Mary, you have an announcement?
Good morning. So we are having our annual yard sale in conjunction with our Earth Day event. This is a perfect time to reduce, reuse, recycle. You've got stuff that's sitting in your closet, in your attic, that you haven't seen in years. You don't even know what's in those boxes. Now is the time to get those boxes out, get out the closet, dig through there, and pull all of the stuff out. There are things in there that someone else would absolutely love to have. Every year we are amazed when someone walks in and goes, "Oh my gosh, I have been looking for this," and it was something that you guys brought in that you no longer needed. Happens all the time. So look through your closets, look through your attics, tell your friends and your neighbors, bring your stuff in. You can bring it all in Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and on Sundays when we're here. We are accepting clothes for this one. It will be the 11th and the 12th of April. It'll be the week before our Earth Day event. We are not accepting large furniture items. But what we are going to do this year is if you have a large furniture item, like a giant chest of drawers or a great big bed or something like that, that you want to get rid of and you would like to donate the proceeds to Unity, take some really nice pictures of it, give us all of the information about it, what the size is, contact information, and bring that in. And we're going to have a board out there, and people can contact you, and they can come to your house and get it instead of you bringing it in here, because what happens is we end up with it and then we can't get rid of it. And so we're having to take it someplace else. So this is a great way for you to still get rid of your big stuff and it not to be showing up and taking up a lot of room here at the church. We are not going to take TVs this year, because if we don't get rid of them, then we have to sell to have them repurposed. So we won't be taking TVs. That's another way. Take pictures of it, put it on the board. And we're putting everything in this back room on the right. Please, when you bring stuff in, stack it neatly, take it as far to the corners as you can, because otherwise Lisa's going to be back there all week trying to organize stuff and make more room, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's brought in. So bring it in, like I said, Monday through Thursday. On April the 6th, we will be bringing everything into the sanctuary and setting everything up, so we will need lots of help on that on April 6th. So share it and bring in lots of your stuff, because somebody else wants it.
Thank you, Mary. And really the big takeaway of that is, do not make Lisa your enemy. Trust me. If you'd please stand and join us for our prayer for protection. Together, The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.